Welcome to PAB2010.
Thank you. This is the most expensive note card I've ever had in my life. I was told I couldn't use any kind of screens up here for the JOLT, so this is what I'm going with. I'm an English teacher by trade, and sometime in my English learning life, I heard about the idea of reader response theory. And some of you may be familiar with that, some of you may not have been. But before I get there, I hate starting with a quote. Aristotle once said that nature abhors a vacuum. And the basic premise behind that, he was talking about the idea of water flow, that if you create a vacuum, something wants to fill it. Our minds are the same way. And if you present someone with a small amount of information, their minds will want to fill in the rest. We were talking during one of the sessions yesterday about the idea when something got cut off, we want to see what the rest of it is, because our mind wants to fill in what should be happening. So oftentimes we think, well, wouldn't it be nice if we could put our vision into somebody else's mind? And a lot of us, when we create podcasts and create content, say, I would like to have the picture in my mind appear in their mind. And so I'm going to give you a couple examples, and I'm going to ask you to be closing your eyes and try not to fall asleep. Because I want you to try and visualize some things while these happen. So this is the first example of me going over the top with description. And some of you may be able to visualize it, some of you may not be. I happen to live in Hamilton, and I live near a couple of big strip malls, and they are all in all major cities, and they all kind of all look the same no matter where you are. But if you close your eyes and see if you can maybe try and visualize what I saw as I was driving out late one night. So I'll give everyone to clean. You don't have to bow your heads by any means. This isn't church, but in a 4 a.m. parking lot swathed by legions of fluorescent tubes permeating a translucent rainbow of logos cascading over a backdrop of office supply and toy stores, the fast food drive-thru teems with stolid brake lights and bass thumpers, vibrating some indiscriminate synth drone that cannot drown out the pubescent intercom squelch that asks if I'd like nuts for my sundae. Okay, I'm going to open your eyes. Now, a very basic idea with a lot of description in it, trying to place a picture in your mind. However, in learning about reader response theory, and it's a tough archetype to break because when you grow up through school, a teacher or a professor will tell you this is what the author wants you to think. And that's what you have to decode. And if you don't decode that, you're wrong. I don't find that as acceptable. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes once more, and I'm going to repeat a sentence over and over and over and over again. And when you have visualized the entire sentence in your mind, please put up your hand. Okay? So I'm going to keep reading it until I see most people's hands up. All right, everyone close your eyes. When I get home, I change clothes, get dinner, pour a drink, and settle in for some screen time. When I get home, I change clothes, get dinner, pour a drink, and settle in for some screen time. One more time. When I get home, I change clothes, get dinner, pour a drink, and settle in for some screen time. Most of you got your hands up now. All right, put your hands down and open your eyes. How many of you for home is a house? Hands up. How many is it an apartment? Hands up. How many of you otherwise? Okay. Commuting. How many of you is it 15 minutes about for a commute? How many of you half an hour? How many of you 45 minutes? When you take off your clothes, well, maybe not all of them. How many of you are taking off a suit? Podcasters. How many of you are taking off a uniform of some sort? Not many. How many of you just take off casual clothes? Okay. When you're putting dinner in, how many of you are using the oven? How many of you are using a microwave? How many have takeout with them? And how many are ordering in? When you're pouring yourself a drink, how many is it alcohol? How many is it pop or soft drinks? How many milk or water? When you're settling in, is it on a recliner, a couch, or at a desk? In front of a screen. Is that a television screen? Is it a monitor? Is it both? And how big is that screen? 17-inch? 21-inch? 42-inch? Or bigger? In the short time up here today, I just want you to think about when you create content out there, sometimes the less you say allows you to paint the more vivid picture in somebody's mind. And allowing them to interpret what you're saying doesn't always mean you have to force feed them. You can create some incredibly vivid pictures by just saying the right word. And when you start to think of the big words like sexism, racism, or PAB2010, everyone's going to have a different vision of that when they leave this place. So thanks very much for listening.
Thank you very much.